comic books
Uh,
again. This is right after Civil War too. I almost did Civil War because I know more about that Civil War storyline
yeah,
just from osmosis, from my
yeah.
friends talking about it. I didn't read it myself. I'm like, you're doing one more day. I'm not going to cover Civil War. Ah, this is
Well,
not
but
the
we
way
do
it is.
need to at least touch on Civil War. And
Okay.
and and those of you that are fans of the MCU, some of
Mhm.
these elements actually do get and this is one of the biggest problems with the current MCU. Yes, they're drawing on the comics, but they're drawing from the comics, the later comics that everybody
Yes.
hated.
Yes.
That's not a good marketing tactic. So in Civil War, and if you've never read the comics, you can think about the movies, right? There was a superhero related government mandate that divided the heroes. In the comics, it was not the Sokovia Accords, but it was very similar. There was this idea that if you are going to be it was in a lot of ways it was analogous to gun law, right, and gun
You're going to be a
regulation.
superhero. You got superpowers. You have to
If you're
register
gonna
them.
be a superhero and you got superpowers, you got to register those superpowers. You got to register your identity, and you got to work for the government under the government. You know, what do you call? And
And Tony's and the Iron Man and Mr. Fantastic, they're all on
they
board.
were all like, yeah, they were
Captain
the
America
statists,
says no.
follow the law. But yeah, Captain America and a lot of others are like, no, wait a minute. Wait a minute. You're going to strip of us of our civil rights, our privacy, just because we happen to have abilities and force us into slavery? No,
I think a lot
no.
of the mutants were against this too, right? Or maybe
Yep.
no, they were neutral. I think the X-Men wanted to remain neutral. I think that's what
Maybe
happened.
that's what it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Well,
S
because they were already on the losing end of this up until this point. They're like, yeah, screw you guys. This is a humans only problem. You guys deal with it. So so and Peter found himself
Yep.
kind of in between. He was kind of a Captain America stan,
Yep.
but Tony was very much a mentor to him, very much like in the comics and stuff, right?
In the
And
movies and
and
persuasive.
he
Yes.
and he convinced uh uh Peter to reveal his secret identity.
Yep.
And the problem with that is by going public with his secret identity, it literally, it goes back to the whole reason that secret identities exist, right? Why do these superheroes have secret identities? To protect their families, right?
Yep.
So that their
Mhm.
villains don't come after, the ones they love.
From what my
And
friends told me, first J. Jonah Jameson, he grips his arm and says, call the ambulance because he's having a heart attack, right? After he
yeah,
hears
yeah,
sees this announcement. And then
yeah,
apparently the Kingpin sees this and he says,
yeah,
put the hit out now.
yeah,
Right?
yeah. And what basically ends up happening is uh he realizes that Aunt May and Mary Jane are
They're
now
in
in danger
danger.
because yeah, he's got a hit on him now. He can't just take off his mask and go back to Queens and go up to his bedroom and be safe. He's
Mm-mm.
never going to be safe now.
Nope.
And at the risk of angering the algorithm gods here, that's exactly what the 2A community says. Look, you want me to trust that if I dial 911, the police are going to be here. When seconds counts, the police are minutes to hours away, and I'm not allowed to protect myself and my family. Screw you. I have a Second Amendment right, and I'm going to defend myself.
I
And
also
what
have a crowbar, nice and heavy. I can whack you with that.
And this was basically what Peter was doing. He was giving up figuratively his Second
and
Amendment
Aunt
rights.
May, I think, bears the brunt,
And
doesn't
Aunt May
she?
ends up getting killed in an attempt on Spider-Man's life.
I remember there was a scene where you saw Iron Man and is hanging upside down his armor, and he has a bunch of webbing around him. He went after Iron Man over this. He was
Mm-hmm.
furious.
And I don't blame him. I don't blame him. Because again, you got to also remember he's still among the superhero community. He's still a kid.
Yeah.
He's very easily influenced. Real quick, I want to say hi to Zombie Box Reviews. Haven't seen you in a while, my friend. It's so good to see you. I appreciate you being here.
But I know
And
this was carried over several issues, right? This was like over the. This is
it
again where they
absolutely
were doing it
was.
over various issues.
The
This is
only
Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man.
The only mutant to participate in Civil War was Wolverine, and he was only involved in trying to hunt down and kill the villain that started the whole thing. I gotcha, gotcha.
Yeah,
So, but
he was trying to get to the bottom of why the disaster happened to begin with.
Yeah, and
Probably what the
by
government should have
the way, tangentially related to this, because we are kind of mentioning Secret War.
Or Secret War, I don't know. Go ahead.
No, Civil War.
Civil War,
Secret War was earlier.
Yeah.
Civil War is this. As I recall, Captain America gets assassinated. He gets shot as a part of the Civil War, but that's a whole.
And after he got arrested, and after he surrendered,
because
he basically has to eventually surrender because he got the Punisher involved, and of course, you get the Punisher involved, he just starts shooting things up. Anyway,
so yeah, it was a
disaster.
Honestly, the whole concept behind Civil War was actually a pretty good storyline, but this one more day thing, Aunt May getting killed. I mean, this for the fans, at least it started out as this is justification for why secret identities exist. You know, this was everything that everybody ever said about secret identities. Now, they touched on this storyline kind of in a very soft way with what was it called? Scarlet Witch and the Multiverse of Madness. You know, basically they did the whole same thing with Peter Parker wanting.
Oh, you mean with the No Way Home, Spider-Man No Way Home?
Oh yeah, No Way Home. Whatever it was, the multiverse bullshit that they it all became.
Well, that's where it started. Really, I think it started.
It was all a big mess, and but yeah, this whole thing where he goes to Doctor Strange and says, "Can you change everybody's memory to forget that I was, Peter Parker and and whatnot?" That's one more day light version of what actually happens, because in the comics it wasn't Doctor Strange that he goes to.
It's Mephisto.
It's basically the friggin' devil.
It's the devil. Is this the same one Ghost Rider made the deal with? Or
I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know enough about that character.
Right,
but
anyway,
this is basically the devil of he makes a deal with the devil. Yeah. Right? And he alters history so that Aunt May doesn't die. But in order to do that, he's got to give up his relationship with Mary Jane. And this was, I don't know who the author was on this, what moron, but it was somebody who just hated the idea of superheroes being married and so wanted to destroy that marriage. That's all this was about.
What I found out too, I think that not only was Mary Jane no longer married to Peter Parker when this thing got changed, but her life was a lot better without him, which I thought was kind of pouring salt on the wound, right?
Yeah.
And it's like,
honestly, if I hadn't already left the comics, this would have done it for me. I would have been, no, screw it. But I left over, Peter Parker as a white beater, and then never came back. And when I heard about this, I'm like, I glad I saved my money. F these effers.
Oh, look at this. It says it wasn't the writer who wanted it. It was the editor who was going through a bad divorce at the time. Keep your personal crap.
I'm so sick of these idiots using the comic books as their personal work out their own bull. It's like, you know what? Go see an analyst, right? And leave the writing to people that aren't insane. Jeez, really? Not just that hating marriage, but hating the idea of Peter married to a supermodel because they think he should always be a loser. I'm sick of this. I'm really, really sick of this. It's like, look, it's not enough for us to make sure that you have your representation so you can see yourself in the stories. But if certain people see themselves in the stories, we got to make them feel like horrible people and losers because, you know, it doesn't apply across the board. Because I'm sorry, these so-called woke people are the worst racists. They really are. Racist, sexists.
Well, on that happy note,